What's up, fellow bike nerds? Welcome back to the Weekly Rewind, where we catch you up on all the hottest tech coming out of the cycling industry. Last week, we saw the release of several sweet new bikes, the initial tariff response from some of cycling's biggest players, and sadly learned that one of our favorite brands is shutting its doors for good. But before we get into any of that, I have to start by telling you about what might just be the best budget mountain bike on the market right now. The State Bicycle Co. 4130 Trail, which lists for just $1,499. Now, I know, $1,500 isn't cheap, and there are a lot of other hardtails and even full suspension bikes that you can get at that price. But to be honest, I don't think they're going to be nearly as trail-worthy as this new bike from State. At the heart of the 4130 Trail is, you guessed it, a 4130 steel frame with some pretty progressive geometry numbers. It has a 65-degree head tube angle, a low slung top tube, and high stacks paired with long reaches across all sizes. Other frame details include UDH compatibility, plenty of mounting points, and fully external cable routing. In terms of components, the bike comes with a 140mm RockShox silo fork, 11-speed Microshift XLE drivetrain, Tektro HD M275 brakes, and a pair of WTB i30 TCS wheels. That's not bad at all for $1,500, and to be honest, it's probably just about all of us really need. But if you do want to splurge and treat yourself just a little bit, State will actually allow you to do that while checking out. They have quite a few different customizations you can choose from, and many of those parts are actually going to be less than they would retail for if you bought them from your local bike shop. For example, you could get a pair of Envy AM30 carbon wheels for $999, $400 less than their retail price. Last but not least, State will also sell you the frame for just $500, which could be a great, affordable way to turn that old bike in the back of your garage into your new favorite ride. We're hoping to get one of these in for review this summer, so hopefully we won't be eating our words when we do. But until then, keep this on your list for budget-friendly trail bikes. Speaking of value-focused mountain bikes, our next bike that we're going to talk about is the freshly redesigned Canyon Spectral AL. The bike is positioned as a return to the basics, favoring reliability and ride quality over unnecessary extras. There are no flip chips, in-frame storage, or Canyon's polarizing KIS steering damper. Instead, you get a proven 6061 aluminum frame with 140mm of travel in the rear and a 150mm fork, but with the geo and kinematics of the carbon Spectral CF. That means longer reach numbers, a slacker 64-degree head tube angle, and a steeper seat tube. One thing you do get to choose, however, is your rear wheel size. At checkout, you can choose between a 27.5 or a 29-inch wheel, and Canyon actually subs out the entire rear triangle depending on what you choose. Now, as far as I know, Canyon is not going to be selling the rear triangle aftermarket, so whatever you choose at checkout is what you're going to have for your duration owning the bike. Now, seeing as it's a Canyon, it should be no surprise that these bikes come in at a pretty impressive price point. The base model, Canyon Spectral 5, lists for $2,600 and gets RockShox select level suspension, a Dior group set, and even race face wheels. We've got an affiliate link to check it out for yourself in the description. The historical track record for ski brands trying their hand at making mountain bikes is spotty at best, and Rossignol has definitely missed the mark a time or two in the past. But their all-new Heretic Enduro bike seems to have righted the ship in a big way. The Heretic has 165mm of travel in the rear, paired with a 170mm fork. You get some properly modern, but not overly crazy geometry, including a 64-degree head tube angle, steep seat tube angle, and moderate reach numbers. There's also a single flip chip in the rear dropout if you prefer an even steeper setup or want to throw a 27.5-inch wheel in the back. Folks who have already been lucky enough to throw a leg over the Heretic are describing it as being impressively calm and confidence-inspiring, but also plenty maneuverable thanks to the low standover height and increased mid-stroke support. Complete builds start at a modest $3,300 and feature a solid part spec, just as long as you don't mind the mustard yellow frame paired with a bright red Marzocchi fork. Anyone else suddenly craving a Big Mac? On the road side of things, Factor just launched their all-new Monza, an Aero race bike designed to deliver a lot of the performance of their top-tier off-stroke VAM without completely emptying your wallet. The Monza keeps the aggressive Aero tube shapes and fully integrated front end that Factor is known for, but simplifies the construction and layup a bit to bring prices down. It also gets in-frame storage, which is still pretty rare on a race-focused bike like the Monza. Tire clearance has gone up as well, now at 34mm, and the bike is spec'd with Factor's new HB04 one-piece cockpit, which has slightly less aggressive numbers than their full Aero setup found on the Ostro VAM. Factor says that the Monza is aimed at riders who want a pure road race experience. No concessions to gravel or all-road versatility here, just full gas speed with real-world durability. Complete bikes start at $6,200 with a Shimano 105 Di2 group set. And honestly, given the Aero gains and the clean aesthetics, the Monza might be one of the more compelling options for racers or serious enthusiasts who don't want to stretch the 10K plus territory for their new bike. Up next, we have an intriguing new bike from Antidote, who are best known for their wild boutique mountain bikes, but are now taking some of that hand-built craftsmanship and applying it to the gravel world with the all-new Pathseeker. One of the most striking things on the frame is their suspension system, which they're calling NanoFlex. This uses a unique eccentrically rotating pivot where the seat stays meet the front triangle, delivering 20 millimeters of shock-free suspension. There's also 20 millimeters of travel up front thanks to an interchangeable elastomer located underneath the head tube. It's also worth noting that the Pathseeker is available as a hardtail as well. Regardless of whether you go with the full suspension or the hardtail option though, you do get some relatively conservative geometry numbers, highlighted by a 72-degree head tube angle and 72.5-degree seat tube angle. That said, the super low slung top tube should still make maneuvering over the bike a breeze. Other details include 50mm tire clearance, UDH compatibility, and a hefty base price of €6,299. It's always a good day when I get to talk about BMX here on the Weekly Rewind, and today is one of those days. BMX godfather Bob Haro is officially back with a brand new bike from his Iconics brand. The FS1 is a modern reimagining of the freestyle bikes that made Haro a household name in the 80s. The frame and fork are both made out of 4130 steel and blend classic aesthetics with thoroughly modern updates like hydroform tubing, a tapered head tube, and plenty of integrated bits and bobs throughout. Only 100 frames are being made, and each one of those frames will come with a custom signed plaque by Bob Haro himself. Sadly though, reliving the glory days will cost you. The frame set combo lists for $1,299. But for riders and collectors who grew up idolizing Haro's Aero-defining style, it's a piece of BMX history that you can actually ride. Moving on now to components, and up first we have an affordable new set of XC wheels from Hunt that they're calling the XC Wide. Despite the name, the internal width of the asymmetrical alloy rims is a bit on the narrower side, at 28mm in the front and 26mm in the rear. As for the hub, you get moderately high 5 degrees of engagement and your choice of any major cassette driver standard. All of this puts the total weight of the wheel set at just 1,719 grams, which is on par with wheels costing significantly more than the $699 price of the XC Wides. There's also a 3-year warranty for manufacturer defects and a lifetime crash replacement program, which will offer you 35% off any parts needed to repair your wheels. So if you're looking for an affordable, lightweight wheel set and don't plan to run plus-size tires, these could be the ones for you. We've seen a ton of cool safety innovations hit the market over the past couple years, but this new product pretty much blows all of those out of the water. Meet the all-new RS1000 from Beam, a rear-view cycling camera that uses AI to detect approaching cars and warn riders in real time. It mounts cleanly under your saddle and streams a live feed to your handlebars via a compact bar-mounted display. The AI can differentiate between vehicles and cyclists, and it gives you visual and audible alerts if something is coming up fast. It also tracks and records incidents automatically, kind of like a black box for your bike. But unsurprisingly, all of this technology isn't cheap. The RS1000 lists for $399. But if you do a lot of road riding in busy or otherwise dangerous areas, the extra peace of mind might be worth it. It's time now for the deal of the week, where I scroll through the 99 Spokes deal page and find my favorite deal. This time around, that happens to be the NS Bikes Metropolis 3, which at 33% off from Mike's Bikes is currently just $700. I've always been a believer that a dirt jumper is the perfect second or third or fourth bike for cycling enthusiasts. They're fun to ride basically anywhere, teach a ton of great skills, and especially in this case, are pretty dang affordable. The Metropolis 3 has a no-frills frame and part spec, which is really all you need for a jump bike. The bike is available in just one size, but the deal will be over when they're sold out. We have an affiliate link in the description if you're ready to add a DJ to your quiver. Moving on now to industry gossip. I'm sad to say that we're starting things off with a few not so great stories, not the least of which coming from Revel. Despite a strong reputation and loyal following, the company announced they'll be shutting their doors indefinitely, citing the brutal market conditions that have been hammering the industry for the last couple years. This came as a shock to just about everybody, especially considering the fact that Revel had a booth and several all-new bikes on display at the Seattle Classic, just about a week or so before this announcement was made. According to an email sent to dealers, all remaining inventory will be marked down to 40 to 50% off retail, and warranty support will end immediately, though Revel is looking for a buyer to take on all remaining inventory and prolong product support. It's sad to see such a passionate rider-owned brand shut down, and serves as a reminder that even companies doing a lot of right things aren't immune from the massive post-pandemic market correction we're still seeing shake out. Last week, we also heard from some pretty major brands about how they will be handling the recent tariffs announced by the Trump administration. But rather than raising MSRPs, these three companies are adding surcharges at checkout instead. Truck dealers were informed that a 10% fee will apply immediately to all inventory, including items manufactured and delivered before the new taxes took effect. Specialized followed suit just a day later, announcing what they're calling a pricing strategy adjustment, which is also a 10% hike to offset the increased manufacturing and import costs. Lastly, even the value juggernaut we talked about at the beginning of the video, State Bicycle Co., announced an 8% tariff recovery fee on all new purchases. Adding these surcharges instead of changing the MSRP in their catalog gives these companies a bit more flexibility and maneuverability to make rapid adjustments if and when the tariff situation changes. But things might get a bit complicated and confusing if you're looking to buy a new bike and all of a sudden find out that you've got to pay another $200, $300, $400 on top of what you're already spending. In the end, these price increases aren't exactly a surprise, but they're still a tough pill to swallow for anyone hoping to make any big purchases this year. And worst of all, may further stagnate the already struggling cycling industry. But it's not all doom and gloom. We actually got some pretty encouraging sales news from some bigger brands as well. Up first is Shimano, who reported a 16% jump in bicycle component sales for Q1 compared to last year. Shimano specifically cites particular interest in their mid-range gravel and road group sets, but didn't specify whether this was OEM or aftermarket sales. MIPS also had a strong quarter, with net sales up a whopping 40%. That said, their CEO did caution that the new tariffs are creating some short-term uncertainty and that there may be a delay in upcoming order fulfillment. Time now to wrap the episode up as we always do, where I get to share with you a little something that got me stoked that I hope will do the same for you. Now, usually we take this segment to highlight a sweet new video part or an outstanding performance by an athlete, but this time around, we're talking about some upcoming plans that we have here at 99 Spokes. The folks at Jensen were kind enough to give us this SRAM Eagle 90 transmission that we are going to be testing and reviewing and actually comparing to my personal favorite drivetrain, Shimano XT, over the next month or so. So if you have any specific questions that you'd like us to address in the video or things we should test, like standing on the derailleur, then you can leave that down there in the comments and we'll do our best to fit that in the video that again, should be coming out next month or so. While you're there, might as well subscribe to the 99 Spokes channel as well to make sure you don't miss this video. And finally, remember that bikes are for everyone. Have fun out there.